Yeah, so indeed, so TomTom is a company that was founded in 91, but the first navigation device came in the market in 2004. And we started collecting GPS data since 2006. And in 2008, the company started with real-time traffic services. So in real time, collecting GPS data and using that for creation of real-time traffic. This was launched in Belgium in 2009. And here we are, 2022, delivering services to most of the automotive industry, to many enterprise customers, and to a few still using TomTom navigation devices. So also these are still our users, although the company really changed from business to consumer to a business to business company. The data that TomTom collects comes from three different categories. So one is automotive. So this is cars that are connected and share their GPS position with TomTom. And in Europe, about 90% of the car brands use TomTom. So think about Peugeot, Citroën, Daimler, BMW, but also Hyundai, Kia. They all use TomTom services, and that's a great source of data. The second category is what we call enterprise. This is other companies that buy our maps and traffic data and build an interesting app or application. Think about companies like Transix in Belgium, but also think about Uber, Microsoft, Cygic. They all use TomTom maps and traffic data in their apps. And in return, we get the GPS probe data. And the last category is the TomTom consumer brands. So we have smartphone apps like the Go Mobile and Amigo application, as well as some navigation devices that are being used and also capture data. And the way it works is every second the GPS position is stored on the device, and anonymously this is shared with TomTom. We can then map match the GPS positions to the map, and based on the calculation, we then deduct the speed and the travel time that people are driving. But in Belgium, you have to think about 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 5 vehicles driving on the road that report their data to TomTom. And we create some interesting real-time and historical traffic products out of it. But we also use it to improve our maps, for example. So no, we don't. A little bit. It's a little bit complex story because due to the GDPR, the European privacy law, we are not allowed to ask more questions than strictly required, and we are not allowed to store more information than strictly required. And therefore, we as TomTom decided not to ask, do you use this app in a truck or in a van or in a passenger car? So based on that, we simply don't know what device people are using and in what kind of car or bike or bus they're driving. But what we do know in our data, looking at speed, is that TomTom is a little bit biased to passenger cars. So about 95% of all our data comes from passenger cars, about 5% comes from trucks. And we do not distinguish that in our real-time traffic products. Only in our traffic analytics products, there's an option to kind of split passenger cars from telematics devices. But we can never give you a 100% guarantee whether that telematics device is installed in a passenger car or in a truck or in a delivery van. So we don't know. Maybe also good to mention is that the core of our product is real-time traffic services. And of course, sometimes people use a smartphone app in the bus or on a bike or in the train. And we try to filter that out as much as possible. Even though many cities are very interested in bike movements, nowadays the business case is just not attractive enough yet to create something for that. But yeah, let's see how that evolves in the future. Yeah, so you have to realize that, for example, in our real-time traffic fusion engine, there are hundreds of validation steps before we create the traffic services that go to our customers. One of the first steps we do is map matching of the GPS data. So when the GPS chip is like 20 meters off, we will not be able to match it to the map and we clean it up. And the same is sometimes we see speeds that are simply not possible to reach because of an error, maybe even an airplane sharing data, which sometimes happens. we filter that out. So we don't try to fix it. We simply filter everything out that we don't trust. And then throughout the process, we do more and more filtering, like what I mentioned, filtering out cyclists as well from our real-time traffic feeds, because we can look at their speed behavior and therefore automatically conclude this is a cyclist and not a passenger car. And that's kind of how we do. Um, yeah, and you also have to think about many other steps that we do. For example, when the government is reporting a road that is closed, we have many validation steps to check if that road is really closed. So sometimes we see lots of GPS data driving over the first kilometer of the closed road. And then we know, well, then maybe the accuracy of the position is not right. And we automatically adjust the location of the closure based on where we don't see any cars driving anymore, right? So validation comes in many forms. Looking one step higher, there are some industry standards looking at the quality of traffic data. And here you have methods like QKZ and QBench. And these are industry standards, mainly driven by automotive, whereby you look at what's the quality of your traffic data in comparison to the reality. And based on that, you know where the quality is good and where the quality needs to get better, for example. So, and we do that on a constant basis, looking at those quality metrics. Yeah, so we always say we do privacy by design. So it's really embedded in our system. But how it works is all these devices share their GPS positions. Every device or car or smartphone app gets a unique identifier for that specific trip. So we know that the GPS positions belong to each other because they're all shared with the same unique identifier. But this identifier is reset when you turn off the device, close the app, or after a few hours. And this is completely randomly created, this identifier. And by that, we kind of ensure privacy because we can't link it to a specific device. But even though it's anonymized, having exactly the positions of a specific vehicle is still information that, according to GDPR, can be traced to a specific person. Because maybe there's a camera next to the road, and based on the position and time, you could look at the camera and get the license plate. So the other thing we do as TomTom is this raw GPS data is only in the TomTom database. We do not sell this. We do not provide this to our partners. We only provide aggregated products to our customers. For example, real-time speeds or historical traffic analysis. But we never provide the raw GPS probe data. And by doing this, we respect the GDPR, but maybe more important, we respect the privacy of our own users to make sure that their identity will never be shared in whatever form. So real-time traffic data is mainly used for navigation, obviously, because you want to get from A to B and want to know about congestion on your route and want to avoid it if possible. The other use case that we're very strong is traffic management applications. So a city or a road authority trying to understand what's the status of the road network, where's congestion happening. You don't want to be dependent on only hardware, but you want to merge it also with a source that is not linked to any hardware. And that's where also TomTom traffic comes in. For historical data, that's much more about analytics. And some examples, City of Brussels is using the TomTom historical speed data to understand the impact of the speed limit that was implemented last year, I think. The City of Amsterdam is going to do the same. There, the speed limit will be changed in 2024. We also just launched a brand new selected link functionality whereby you can look for a specific link. What routes are people driving, trying to get there, and departing that area, which can, for example, help you with understanding parking movements, as well as understanding for roadwork stretches, what is the routes that are people taking and who do I need to inform in order to make sure that there's not too much problems when the roadworks are happening. And I guess there are many other applications that I didn't even think about yet. So we never work with cities or public entities directly. We always work with our partners, like Espace Mobilité, because they know much better what the government needs and how they want it. But yeah, the way we work with it is via our partners, and they either respond to tenders or they directly do a project. It can be consultancy, can be a multi-year traffic management deal, and yeah, together we try to solve the problems of our customers. Well, so of course, I can't talk about it, but what I can tell you is that we are investigating traffic volumes. So, of course, we know on a road that we've seen 500 vehicles, but we don't know if the total volume is then 1,000 vehicles or 2,000 or 5,000. We have a rough idea looking at the capacity of the roads, but many customers ask us, "Can you tell me something about the average daily traffic volume?" And that's something we are investigating right now. I'm not saying it will be a product because it's very difficult, because when we as TomTom do something, we don't want to do it just for Wallonia. We want to do it for 80 different countries around the world. So it needs to work in the right way. But this is something that we're investigating right now and could be quite interesting for traffic engineering as well.